But first, I just want to play you this footage. This is a national scandal, and I accuse this Labor government, but in particular Chris Bowen and Tanya Plibersek, of the wanton and willful destruction of some of the most ancient and precious and beautiful bushland in Australia. This is where the insane ideology of net zero has taken this country.
Mr. Dutton, come down here before the election, bring them your media buses down here, show them what is happening, and try and defend your policies of net zero that are not only wrecking our economy, but are wrecking our great snowy mountains as well. Look at this magnificent tree next to me. It must be over 100 years old. Chopped down, felled, and it'll be taken down completely to build these transmission lines. Where are the environmentalists? Where are the greenies that care about our forest? This is the madness of the climate change agenda right here before your very eyes.
That was Libertarian New South Wales Senate candidate Craig Kelly yesterday, standing next to and dwarfed by, he was that small at the bottom of the screen, by the dead skeleton of that amazing gigantic tree, X-tree. If you or I did that destruction or anything even remotely like it, we would be facing fines of up to $1 million and even facing jail time. It's criminal what Chris Bowen and Tanya Plibersek are doing to this country, all because of their insane renewables policies done to save the planet. Is this how you save the planet, Labor? This is a national disgrace. Meanwhile, the big news of this week, apart from the election debate, which I'll get into, was Donald Trump's decision to reduce his tariffs for 3 months for everyone across the globe, except for China, who got an increase.
As you all know, the president just put out a statement announcing an additional tariff on China. The tariff on China will now go up to 125%. because China imprudently decided to retaliate against the United States. And as I said at the podium yesterday, when you punch at the United States of America, President Trump is going to punch back harder. We will continue with the tailor-made negotiations that I spoke about yesterday. In the meantime, there will be a 90-day pause on the reciprocal tariffs as these negotiations are ongoing, and the tariff level will be brought down to a universal 10% tariff.
Now, of course, had you been watching this show, this would not have come as all that much of a surprise. You will remember 2 weeks ago our very own White House correspondent, Natalie Winters, telling us exclusively, and by the way, unlike virtually every other commentator in the entire Australian media, that the bullseye target of Donald Trump's tariffs was always going to be communist China. And so it has turned out to be just as she predicted on this show. Here's US commentator Geraldo Rivera.
I believe that he ambushed China. I believe that he suckered the whole world into believing that he was going to go down in this, this Harry Carey, this suicide mission.
So you think this is
against the world?
The plan all along?
I think with him, it's so much spontaneous, but I believe it evolved.
And why China? Well, have a listen to Shark Tank businessman and TV personality Kevin O'Leary just before the announcement.
104% tariffs on China are not enough. I'm advocating 400%. I do business in China. They don't play by the rules. They've been in the WTO for decades. They have never abided by any of the rules they agreed to when they came in for decades. They cheat, they steal IP. I can't litigate in their courts. They take product, technology, they steal it, they manufacture it and sell it back here. Never has an administration.
400% tariffs? What would that look like?
I want Xi on an airplane to Washington to level the playing field.
China has for years taken advantage of and posed a massive threat to the West because they do not play by the rules. They cheat. And that means we always lose. We also learned this yesterday about Facebook playing fast and loose with their users' information in China.
When you store that data in China, Americans who exchange messages or other information with Chinese Facebook users, that would mean the Chinese government could get access to the American data as well. Is that correct?
Through the POP servers, potentially, yes.
And Facebook was willing to take that risk?
Yes, there was a lot of discussion about this and ultimately, yes.
We also have had the allegations that China is busy buying up farmland surrounding critical US military bases. And this is the whole point, as I said here on Sky a week ago, when everybody was having a meltdown over tariffs, with Anthony Albanese attacking Trump's tariffs as not being the act of a friend, when every other commentator I know was suddenly infected with a not-so-rare outbreak of TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome. As I said then, there is only one question all Australians must ask themselves: do we want America or China to be the world's dominant superpower going forward? That's it. Full stop. You have to choose. You can't have both. One negates the other. Interestingly, so many of those Trump-loathing commentators and politicians were the same ones who, for literally the past 2 decades, have been wringing their hands going, oh dear, why is China so powerful? Why are they in our universities? Why do they control our supply chains? Why don't we have a stronger Navy? When I grew up in the 70s and 80s, America was the undisputed global leader, economically, culturally, and militarily. It was a pretty good world back then. The rise of China may have given us all cheaper TVs and washing machines, but at what cost? Last week and 2 weeks before that, we had Chinese warships circling our island, practicing firing off rounds off our shores. Now, thanks to Rebecca Weisser and The Spectator Australia, of which I'm the editor, we also learn there's a whole group of Chinese who think Australia should belong to them. As Rebecca writes, quote, this surge in imperialist sentiment is being fanned by a Chinese novel called Illuminae Linguao, which has inspired online fantasies about China's right to annex not just Taiwan and parts of Southeast Asia, but Australia, loosely based on historical myths and an assortment of ancient artefacts. End of quote. No, thank you. Give me Pine Gap and American hegemony any day of the week. I've been a fan of Donald Trump since 2015, and I'm pretty much alone in the mainstream Australian media in never having wavered in my support for him. If anyone can wind back the clock to a better world, or even better, wind forward the clock to an even better world, it is Donald Trump. And we are witnessing the most extraordinary changes daily before our eyes. The second goal of Trump's tariff campaign is to bring manufacturing back to the USA. You would be an absolute fool to believe he won't pull it off. He's even got the traditional blue-collar Democrats and unions behind him, much to the misery of lefty characters like Kamala Harris's ridiculous vice presidential candidate, Tampon Tim Walz.
President Trump argues that these tariffs are needed to bring American manufacturing back and to help American workers left behind in places like Minnesota. He has support from the UAW. The UAW called his auto tariffs, quote, a long overdue shift away from a harmful economic framework that has devastated the working class. It signals a return to policies that prioritize the workers who build this country rather than the greed of ruthless corporations, unquote.
I don't think Tim Walz is going to be the next president of the USA. And then, of course, Donald Trump is also bringing back beautiful, clean coal in order to prepare America for the vast amounts of energy that will be required, cheap, reliable, round-the-clock energy that will be required in the AI revolution that's going to grip the planet. Let me remind you yet again. Let me remind all our friends in the Labour, Greens and Teals parties, and sadly, still within the wetter parts of the Liberal Party, I've got bad news for you. Net zero is finished. It's done. It's over. It's kaput. Trump will kill off the entire climate hysteria, and countries that are still pursuing this idiocy will come to deeply, deeply regret it. More importantly, their people will. Already this week in Britain, commentators are openly calling for the hard-left Starmer government to abandon net zero. As one wrote in the UK Telegraph about Britain's pursuit of the net zero fantasy, quote, our attempt to lead the world has come at a huge cost, destroying a North Sea oil industry that still has plenty of useful life in it, prevented us from fracking, even though shale oil and gas has proved completely safe in Canada and the US, and worst of all, landed us with industrial energy costs twice as high as in America. End of quote. Every word of that applies even more so in its own way to Australia. If Labor wins this election, Chris Bowen, if he still has a seat, and he may not, but we'll get onto that in a tick, Bowen will destroy every last vestige of our economy in Labor's ideological pursuit of zero emissions. Mark my words, if the coalition wins the election, which they must do for all our sake, within 12 months they will be forced to scrap net zero as a nonsensical pursuit because the world will be a very different place by then.
We are screwing around with wind. Oh, wind. These people are crazy. They say, oh, it's great for the environment. Yeah, it kills all your birds. You want to see a bird cemetery? Walk under a windmill sometime. Got birds all over the place. They're screaming for help. They got whacked. The environmentalists, it's an environmental dream. You know why? Because you're never going to have energy. They're the most expensive form of energy there is.
Trump always tells it like it is. No Bowen obfuscation with piles of documents. No Albanese, oh, the modelling doesn't work. Ooh. No Dutton-esque timidity and obfuscation. Are we in or are we out? Trump just tells it as it is. You have to laugh. Trump is slashing all the insane climate restrictions in the States one by one. Even the idiotic water pressure for green tape restrictions brought in by the Obama climate cult to save the planet with low-pressure showerheads, even that are being ditched.
In my case, I like to take a nice shower to take care of my beautiful hair. I have to stand under the shower for 15 minutes till it gets wet. It comes out drip, drip, drip.
Loopy green stuff, it's all going. Thanks to Donald Trump. The world is changing faster than you can say the return of common sense. And as for China...
No, I think that President Xi is a man who knows exactly what has to be done. He's a very smart man. He loves his country. I know that for a fact. I know him very well. And I think he's going to want to get to a deal. I think that's going to happen. We'll get a phone call at some point, and it'll be off to the races. It'll be a great thing for them. It'll be a great thing for us. It's going to be a great thing for the world and for humanity.